performed the rest of the experiments for different mixtures from 10% all the way to 90% of the CO2 and N-butane. And for each case, I found the bubble point and I found the corresponding compositions. So as I said here, we try to use the tie line definitions. So what we have done, we have plotted the pressure versus the composition of the CO2 liquid. These are all the points falling on the bubble point line. We also plotted the pressure as a function of gas CO2. Remember, this is a CO2 composition, so the gas CO2 falls on the dew point line. And then if you remember, for one extra point, we did the measurement and we found that for 10% saturation, the dew point was around, in this case, it's approximately around 26 psi, okay? For 26 psi, for the gas saturation of for CO2 gas saturation for the CO2 liquid saturation of 10%. So one dew point obtained to be for 10% 26 psi. So I'm going to add that extra point as well. So this is the extra point checkpoint, we call it checkpoint. And for this checkpoint, the x value was 10%, and then the pressure was 26. Okay, so this is the point that so this is the point that we are going to build too much. So this is the point that we are going to use to basically draw our line. So I'm going to, instead of using the best line, I'm going to just draw that. So I want to have my curve to go through these data points. Okay. And I want this to go as closely as this. Okay, so this becomes my dew point line. So what you need to do, you need to mention what these are. So this is my bubble point line. This is the BP line. This is my dew point line. Here is where I have liquid. Here where I have the two-phase. And here is where I have gas. So one extra thing that you need to do is to find the critical pressure, the bubble point and dew point pressure of the pure CO2 at temperature T1. This is what we have done in our first lab, okay? So in first lab, we have a mixture of 100% CO2 at the temperature of 71.6 degree. So you found that point, you found what is the bubble point and dew point pressure of the pure CO2 at that temperature. So you can add that point to close your envelope, okay? And then this becomes your two-phase region, and you also can add the tie lines, basically because you did use the tie line. So, and then you can also mention that this is your equilibrium type. Okay, so this is our pressure versus composition diagram of the mixture of CO2 and N-butane. You can also add that in the title, chart title of the chart, and then you can say this is the NC4 plus CO2. CO2. Okay. So as I said, this becomes your analysis, and then you just need to confirm one of those volumes of the CO2 that needs to be added to your report. And you can also mention that this is your point that you used for that's the dew point check. So you have to follow the same procedure for the other labs. As you can see, anything that I have in the lab, I have mentioned what that is, and I'll put the labels, and I did this calculations, and then for the points also that you are going to extrapolate, one that you are going to extrapolate, you can also show that as a dotted point, saying that this is not the measurement, this is not the measurement here you did before, and you are showing it as a dotted line. So that's our end of the lab number 2. So follow the lab guidelines as we discussed earlier, and the due for this lab would be next week. So I'll generate a Dropbox in the eCampus, and then you will have the deadlines, everything stated there. Okay. And again, if you have any question regarding this lab, just send me an email, and I'll try to come back to you in a timely manner.